Indutrade maintains a high pace. Net sales rose 14% to 2,963 million Swedish krona. Book-to-bill 1.03. Operating profit before amortization of intangible non-current assets, EBITDA, rose 11% to 311 million krona. Operating margin, EBITDA margin, was 10.5%. After-tax profit increased by 15% to 189 million krona. And earnings per share grew 15% to 4.73 Swedish krona. Indutrade is continuing to create growth just as it's been doing in previous periods. During the first quarter of 2016, the group grew by 14%, with organic growth accounting for as much as 8%. The result would probably have been even better were it not for Easter occurring early this year, which reduced the number of working days somewhat. Net sales amounted to 2,963 million Swedish krona. The EBITDA result increased 11%. Order intake was in line with the previous year, and the EBITDA margin during the quarter was slightly weaker compared to the preceding year. The past quarter saw strong growth in the sales of valves in the energy segment, with the wind energy sector also showing good growth. The Nordic region, with the exception of Finland, developed positively. Norway, despite being affected by the low oil prices, has shown favourable development, including, among others, within the infrastructure segment. Finland continues to show weak growth, where notably 2 of the group's companies have had a tough start to the year. Outside the Nordic region, the Benelux countries and Ireland continue to perform well. However, there are signs of a slowdown in the UK market. One factor behind this may be the ongoing Brexit process and the cautious stance the market there is adopting, as long as there's uncertainty as to what might happen after the referendum in June. So far this year, Indutrade has carried out 5 acquisitions, 2 in the UK and 1 each in Denmark, Norway and the Netherlands. Indutrade is of the opinion that the acquisitions market continues to offer interesting prospects. The geopolitical situation in the world continues to make itself felt. This includes, for example, the scaling back of investments by the oil-producing countries, this due to lower earnings. Meanwhile, the oil-consuming countries, despite the lower cost of oil, haven't increased their industrial production significantly, resulting in weak industrial growth. For 2016, however, Indutrade estimates that the group, in spite of this, will continue to grow positively. Indutrade CEO Johnny Alvarsson is with us now. Firstly, Indutrade's continued to show strong growth during the quarter, but you're at the same time warning of signs of greater challenges lying ahead. Could you tell us a little more about this?
Well, we don't see any general growth in the market, and that is depending on the downturn in Asia, especially China, but also depending on the political turbulence in Europe. So it's, I think it's more unsecure than 1 year ago in the market. In spite of that, we have some areas that are growing. So generally, I'm a little bit worried, but for Indutrade, I think it will continue to be a nice future. Also, that when you measure and see the GDP growth, you could think there is a growth in the market, but the GDP is mainly public and private consumption and does not give any investments in industry. So the industrial growth, I estimate, is probably around 0 in the Western world.
Organic growth for the quarter amounted to 8%, a high figure compared to growth in general in the market. What's behind this success?
Well, we have some interesting segments that we are strong and that we can see growth. That's usually energy segment that is growing, and we are gaining market share, I think, worldwide in that area. We also have some geographical areas that is growing, that is like Holland, Benelux, Sweden, partly Denmark. And that helps the not existing growth like in Finland and in UK at this moment. Also, when we look at other product segments, we can see in the pharmaceutical industry in Ireland, we see nice growth where we also have a gaining market share.
Now, you have, since the beginning of the year, made 5 acquisitions, among them the Danish company Senmatic, that manufactures sensors for measuring temperature and humidity. Tell us more about that.
Well, 4 of those 5 are typical companies we acquire who is manufacturing or distribution companies in different countries. Since many years we have owned a company making temperature sensors and are very strong in the Scandinavian market, I should say, mainly in Sweden and Finland. And we have been looking for a complementary business for many years, and now we've been successful in acquiring Svenska in Denmark, who is covering a complete different business segment worldwide compared to where we are before, and that's a very good add-on to our existing business.
Finally, you describe global industrial growth as currently weak, yet at the same time you say you don't see any signs of any general change in the demand situation. How does that equation work?
I think it's depending on the oil prices have been dramatically reduced, and if you go back a couple of years, oil-producing countries were investing a lot and actually driving the growth in the market. Now they don't make that much money, and it's a transfer of capital to the consumption countries. But there we already have an overproduction capacity in industry, so it's not resulting in investments, and that means a general downturn in the market. The only country probably we can see a potential growth, except for United States, is maybe Iran, when the embargo is switched off completely. I don't expect any general growth in the market for the future, but for Indutrade we have some specific segments are doing well, and on top of that we will continue to acquire businesses to compensate for the low organic or non-existing organic growth in the market. So as usual, Indutrade I think will do well in the market, even though it's a very, very sluggish general market, industrial market in the world.
And these words from Indutrade's President and CEO Johnny Alvarsson bring our presentation to a close. We'll be back on the 22nd of July with Indutrade's report for the second quarter of 2016. Do join us then.